video in my Feeling Blocked series. The last one got really long, so instead of doing one video, I'm going to actually just break these up into 3 because it'll be easier. So this one will be for people who are feeling blocked in love, okay? This is without any sort of specific time. I am recording it on October 9th, but whenever you watch it, it's relevant because I will ask for timeless energies. So may I have a card for Aries, relevant to the moment in which they see this video? What is the current block around love? What is the current block for Aries around love? What is the nature of the current block for Aries around love? Okay. Oh, transformation. So that's the death card. So the block right now is that you, or most likely you, or the person you're dealing with, is going through a moment of transformation, moving from one state to another. The death card is about moving from the earthly plane to the spiritual plane. This is renewal of energy, so energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So whatever is going on in your energetic body right now is in the process of being rewritten. Pieces of you are protected with these violet flames as this energetic transmission happens. And you see there's kind of like a phoenix flying out there. So whatever block is going on in your love life, or in your own sense of self-love, is because there is an energetic transformation that's going on. Now let's see what the story is, what the lesson. What's the lesson that this block brings? The lesson that this block is bringing for Aries. Okay, despond, but so I'm going to take both of them. You see the 2 different states. So the lesson is to understand the difference, or to understand, they're both very Plutonian, these cards, both the renewal and the despondence. And they can be, so it's interesting with all these planets that are about to go into Pluto. I know this, I said this was timeless, and it is, but again, what's happening in the sky right now is very Plutonic. And we have this Pluto squaring our Aries. So that may also be, some of you may be dealing with either planets that you have, Venus, perhaps you have Venus in Aries, Cancer, or Libra. Perhaps, obviously you have your sun in Aries, so you may be getting hit with this transformation also on a personal planetary level. And it can feel like this, but it is this. So the lesson is also to show you that it's never one thing. It can be both, and that's also kind of the lesson of Pluto. He had this sort of like deathly lair, but he was really fighting for his love. And there's also a lesson here about the dualities of life, that that one thing can be both despondent and renewal at the same time. And so also not perhaps to teach us, or whoever is listening to this, a wider range of understanding of situations, that there is not good or bad, black or white, but that they can on some levels be both black and white at the same time, and that's sort of these two, this energy body is at the same time embodying both of those, so that's kind of comprehensive of this. Now let's get a little bit of details behind the story. So it's the story of this block in the relationship, or in the love area, the block in the love area. Actually, you know what? I want to say one more thing. Excuse me. Look at the role of the plants in here. Okay. This too is one of the lessons, I believe. You see how these plants are like growing in every which way, or in every which direction. They're kind of all over the place. It looks a little bit chaotic. They're not necessarily like well cared for. They're kind of overgrown. And so because they're overgrown, they can kind of go in any which direction. Instead here, you see how firmly planted that plant is, that allows for proper directional growth because it is so consolidated into the earth. And so those are, this is kind of like flying around everywhere. It's literally wrapping around the planet. That also, that lesson of understanding the difference between being well planted, centered. Look at what she has, the center. She has all of the chakras aligned, and she has the light of the universe sort of around her. And this person has the world, but it's like it's in her womb, so it's like, it's a far more like almost material plane, I want to say. Because it's dealing with the earthly realm as opposed to this being able to connect into both, like learning how to properly grow into that spiritual realm. As touching both ends, and this looks so much like this to me also, touching both of those ends from a material to a spiritual, where this is just very sort of like trying to grow something but not growing it in the proper direction, right? So since we're talking about love, and it's interesting because you see how in this one she's alone, and in this one she has someone there, but that someone doesn't look very nice or pleasant. Perhaps there is a lesson of removing the wrong people in your life, of getting away from people that cause you to feel like this. And that may mean a time of renewal alone. So the obstacle in this is clearing out these people and these overgrown vines from your energetic field so that you can actually plant something that will grow into something much more powerful. And that may be that these flames of protection here that are around you as you go through this transformation, that even though it may feel like this, what's really happening is this. Okay. Let me get some cards here. Can we get a little bit more about this story of the block? 3 cards, please, to tell us the story of this block. Okay, so 5 of Swords, knowing when to give up and walk away, or having had people that perhaps you thought were, so this card to me is, well, it's chaos and conflict, right? And there's some people who have given up and just walked away. And this guy may look like he feels like he's won, but what has he won? There's also some, manipulation and games going on here. There's these very stormy skies that are going on. It's not some uplifting card. The water's troubled. Everyone here is sort of in a high state of anxiety, very much like this one, so there may have been some sort of loss. Perhaps people have walked away from you. Perhaps you sent them away. But there was a troubled situation here that was full of conflict and full of games, and that has given, it's a 5, so it's a crisis and a turning point that have given you an opportunity to move into something else. Because remember, the next card here is the 6 of Swords. 6 of Swords moves into calmer waters. 2 more cards, please, for some details on this story. Okay. Okay, King of Wands. Now, King of Wands has mastered his fire energy, mastered his passions, mastered his ability to create. Let's see what else comes up. I want to see what this king means. One more card, please, and the story here for this block. One more card, please, for the story on this block. You know, it's funny because they're all looking in the same direction. So they're all watching these people walk away. One more card, please, for the story of this block. One more card, please, Aries. What's the story behind this block in the love energy? I'll do it 3 more shuffles and then I'll give up. 2. 3. Okay. So we get the 2 again. And it's 2 faces. It's 2 faces of the same guy, you know? One's holding a wand. One's holding these 3 sort of manipulative swords that it looks like he won, but, you know, he's still kind of playing games. And look at the difference in how they're dressed, and look at the sky. And one has a very powerful wand that is his command. And the other is like just trying, you know, he's just trying to get one over. I always think of the other card on this one, like the 7 of Swords, right? They're just like these people that are kind of up to no good. And this card came out after, so he was like kind of looking at him. So most of my viewers are female, so I'm going to talk as if this was a male figure. Perhaps you thought you were getting a king, and what you ended up getting was this person. Perhaps this continues to be a choice that you keep, or this situation keeps repeating itself. They look like kings and they end up being these guys who put you in a position. Look at this person all the way down here. You know, this one is like forlorn, miserable, does not want to walk away, or is distraught, is despondent over having to walk away from this person. But yet it's like something forced them to have to put their sword down and stop playing whatever this game was, you know. So perhaps it's like you think they're this, they end up being like this, and you keep having to walk away from them when really all you want is just to get this kind of guy. This, you know, this is the dream. We want the King of Wands who masters his desires and knows how to actually be a king, as opposed to playing these sort of childish games. Now, let me get... I'm going to use my Divination of the Ancients from Where Can Our Aries Friends Look Who Are Blocked in Love for clues on how to transform this situation. Where should they look for the messages to unblock this situation? Okay. Oh. So pendulum and decision. And actually it's funny, while I was shuffling these cards, and you see there's a heart right in the middle, right? So the pendulum, so as I was shuffling, I was thinking that really what has to happen is at the first signal that this person is this, don't wait until it gets to that point to walk away, right? Hold out for the real deal. Because, you know, it's your heart in your own hands. So ultimately you're deciding for that. Like you decide, you see there's all those, like it swings back and how your heart swings back and forth. And it right now is the time for it to be centered, much like this woman. Instead of it swinging back and forth between these two poles, you know, and in kind of an unshapely form, right? This has a very specific form. It's growing in a very specific direction. So a reminder that you have your heart in your hands, and it's you who has the power of choice. I'm not going to take this other card because we don't have time to go through these, but let me read you this one. We'll see what it says. There are many paths before you, some that promise to fulfill your desires and some that others in your life would bid you take to fulfill theirs. Very interesting, right? So it's like maybe other people like keeping you in this position, but you want this. It's important for you to decide exactly where you want to go and whom you want to be in this lifetime, for you and not for anybody else. The universe is giving you the choice. Ask yourself, which path will lead to wholeness? Which path deceives? Choose carefully, for the answers are not being presented clearly to you at this time. Okay, so also the answers are in the form of transformation. And they're in the form of transformation because it's ultimately up to you to make that choice between these two characters here. You would be wise to call upon the pendulum to assist you with your decision, for it will surely show you the truthful way. Do not take this lightly, as the wrong path could detour you from your destiny. So the incantation is, to the question asked, what answer will show? Circle or swing, I do not know, but answer true it will foretell, and that way I too shall swing as well. Other divinatory meanings, seek your answers from within rather than from another. And that's this also. You see how she's listening to her counsel and this other person may be making her crazy. Trust your own wise counsel. Be more discerning. Don't take others' advice at face value. Release guilt and focus on what's best for you. A major decision will soon need to be made. Very interesting. Okay, so that's also interesting because it's in the form of transformation. So it's like what happens in your love life is also up for, the reason why it's blocked is because the decision on which form it's going to take is ultimately up to you. Are you going to continue? Are you going to seek out situations like this? Or are you going to wait for a situation like this? Do you let people around you draw you into this kind of state of despondence? Or will you keep your own counsel, your own wisdom, your own guidance, master your own desires as opposed to those of the others? Now that's also interesting because this King of Wands may be you and not another person, you know? So once you become the master of your own desires instead of playing other people's games, is another message here. Now, I'm going to get two more cards because it's getting long. What can our Aries who are blocked in love do now to help open them up to abundance? What can our Aries who are blocked in love do now? Ooh, that's interesting. We got a decision card. Should I leave or should I stay? And you see there's the whole thing. It's very empowering to discover that your patterns of thought do not have to follow your current situation, and therefore your current situation on all subjects can change. We do not recommend taking the physical action of leaving a relationship without deliberately coming into thought alignment with the new desires that have been born out of your current relationship. And then whether you stay in this relationship or move on to another, you can have exactly what you desire. Okay, so it's very much kind of like you don't have to do anything, but the cards suggest that this is a very transformative moment, an opportunity for you to switch mindsets, to be very clear on your own desires, what they are, away from the opinion and the games and activities of other people, to get very clear on what it is that you want in your life, and that what makes you feel like this and like this. And only you can decide that. And whether you are getting that in your current situation or not at all, the energies for you to move towards are this feeling of being firmly, strongly planted in something that you know what you've planted, in something that's been intentionally planted, because it knows that it can grow very fertily in that soil, as opposed to like, let's just see, like, plant a few seeds here and there, we'll see what happens, you know. So it's very much about focus, getting aligned with oneself, getting aligned with one's desires, and then being able to choose which shape this transformation is going to take on. Let me get one last word of love advice here for you. May I have one more piece of advice for Aries with help with their love blockage? One more piece of advice for Aries who are blocked in love, please. Okay. Practice compassion. See things from a different perspective. Okay, so this is kind of what we were talking about here, between this choice of like which one of these energies do we want to embody, and to look at things from, you know, to imagine things from a different point of view. You have seen them in the first is always self-forgiveness, and then what decisions, if you were to forgive yourself, what decisions would you make, you know? But even if what you had chosen up until now had been hurtful for you or hurtful to others, if you practiced compassion with yourself and gave yourself the opportunity to rewrite your future, what would you choose for you? Okay. I hope that was helpful. Ooh, very interesting. This is a 6. This is a 6. And we talked about this being the 6 of Swords. So it's like what's next on this this twisting moment, very much hinges on the decisions that you make. You are asked to get very much into alignment with yourself, with your desires, with what is truly in your heart, in order to move. Okay? Thanks for watching. See you next time.